want you in the lowest level of your home.
That is going to be an observed tornado, confirmed tornado.
And sure enough, there it is. There's the rotation.
Trees are down, power lines are down, there's debris along streets.
Severe, devastating storms, tearing apart communities and lives in a matter of seconds.
Everybody is living through horror right now.
That is one ugly hurricane.
There's so many dimensions to the hurricane climate problem.
I'm just in shock, complete shock.
Across every region of the country and across every season. Experts say our weather is changing.
It really depends on what we decide to do as a society.
Fire surged through here so fast early this morning.
This is going to be something that is more frequent going into the future.
Over the next hour, we're exploring the weather, the trends.
Are we seeing a forest die?
Everywhere you see a color go from a cooler to a warmer, lots of trees have died.
And the impact on you.
A flash flood emergency is up.
There are houses that are underwater 2 or 3 or 4 feet. It's heartbreaking.
I don't think you can ever be prepared for something like this.
Now, a special presentation, Forecasting Our Future.
Thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Tamara Berg.
And I'm Ty Steele. We see and feel the impact of weather every single day, from simple things like what to wear to more critical moments when severe weather strikes our community.
Yes, stronger hurricanes, stubborn wildfires, and what seems like frequent flooding in many places has some of us asking, is the threat from the impact from our weather, is it growing?
And that question led us to Forecasting Our Future, an initiative this year at KCRA 3 and all our Hearst Television stations across the country. The goal is to take a deeper look at how local weather is impacting us by analyzing facts and data to understand any changing patterns.
Now, one thing scientists largely agree on, the Earth's climate is experiencing changes. This data shows how much global temperatures the past 140 years have been above or below a recognized average. Many scientists say it feels like your local weather is changing. If that's how it feels, this may be a primary cause.
So we are getting help this hour from our chief meteorologists and their teams as we explore weather impact. In all, more than 100 weather experts from the Northeast and Southwest to the Central U.S. and the West Coast, all working every day to keep us informed and safe.
Yes, and we look at and begin with some of the most severe weather from Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardozi at WLKY in Kentucky.
We got a tornado developing right on top of us.
Wow. Just got the confirmation. Made landfall as a Cat 4. The wind's 155 miles per hour, and this is devastating.
I've never seen anything like this. There was a large building right where you're looking.
Tornadoes and hurricanes, two of the most violent, most damaging storms we experience. In a matter of minutes, they destroy lives, demolish homes, and scar the landscape. Scenes repeated year after year.
We actually barricade ourselves in the bathroom downstairs. I just remember screaming, and my child screaming too.
In December, a series of tornadoes tore through 4 states in the central U.S., killing 76 people. Kentucky took the brunt of the punch. The outbreak was unusual because tornadoes don't typically strike here on the verge of winter.
It is upsetting. I know what's happening.
4 months earlier, Ida, a strong history-making Category 4 hurricane, unleashed on Louisiana with relentless 150-mile-an-hour winds.
I've never seen nothing like it. There's no comparison, really.
Ida was just one hurricane in a memorable season, says Chief Meteorologist Margaret Orr of WDSU in New Orleans.
21 named storms, 7 became hurricanes, 4 became major hurricanes. Hurricane season 2021 was an active season, the 3rd most active in history.
The hurricane activity has increased dramatically since 1995. We're in this period of above average hurricane activity.
Mike Lyons, chief meteorologist at WPBF in Florida, has been forecasting weather more than 30 years, including when Hurricane Andrew tore through South Florida in 1992. One of only 4 Category 5 hurricanes to ever make landfall in the U.S.
Winds of 160 miles per hour, but for the most part, you could describe it as a 20-mile wide tornado. I mean, that's pretty much what it was. There was very little rain. It was just all wind, and it just produced catastrophic damage.
The strength and frequency of hurricanes are the subject of frequent research. The results of if changes could be happening and why varies. One MIT study last year concluded North Atlantic hurricanes have become more frequent over 150 years and more powerful when they reach land. A study from NOAA found hurricanes have become stronger more recently, but the overall count isn't really changing.
So we have a lot of data, but we have to be careful in the way that we analyze it.
Scientist Tom Knutson studies hurricanes and climate at NOAA's Geophysical Fluid Dynamics Laboratory. He says if you take into account all the available global data going back to about 1900, there is not enough strong evidence of overall higher hurricane frequency. If you look at the data for a shorter period of time in the Atlantic, you do see a difference.
Since the 1980s or so, we've had more hurricanes, more major hurricanes. Intensities have gone up. Rapid intensification has been increasing.
Knutson cautions that looking at only a 40-year period with something as complex as hurricanes could be misleading. Plus, hurricanes and weather occurrences are subject to natural variability. But Knutson says rising sea levels and increased warmth and moisture in the atmosphere, all documented in scientific data, may eventually impact hurricanes in some ways.
So we are projecting that going forward through the 21st century, the rainfall rates out of hurricanes we're expecting is going to increase.
That's where the tornado is, moving at 55 miles per hour.
Moisture and warmth are also key ingredients in tornadoes, along with wind shear. Conditions that come together more often in the eastern half of the U.S. than any other place on Earth.
Tornadoes are there because we have a bunch of instability that just builds up in the atmosphere, and we need to get rid of that instability somehow.
Damon Lane, our chief meteorologist at KCRA in Oklahoma, says tornadoes are the destructive result of the atmosphere calming itself.
The rebuilding process is still going on a decade after.
He took us on a tour of Moore, Oklahoma.
Everyone has a story to tell that day.
Where a mile-wide tornado with winds in excess of 200 miles an hour twisted its way through town on May 20th, 2013. 24 people were killed, including 7 children, at Plaza Towers Elementary School.
You can never prepare for a big natural disaster that's going to come in, and it's going to affect your life.
It is heartbreaking. My jaw dropped as we drove into town.
Seeing that kind of damage has been something that I have not seen, honestly, since 2005 with Hurricane Katrina.
Meteorologist Allison Rogers at our station WLWT in Cincinnati was on the ground reporting from the tornado aftermath in Kentucky 4 months ago. She says data shows there is some variability right now with tornadoes.
We have seen a shift in where these tornadoes are becoming more and more prevalent.
There has been an increase in the number of tornadoes over the Mid-South region, so think Memphis and the surrounding areas, and a decrease over southern Texas, western Texas, up through the western Kansas.
Dr. Harold Brooks, senior research scientist at NOAA's National Severe Storms Laboratory, says while the Mid-South region is seeing a more recent increase in activity, the area has always been prone to tornadoes. But the storm cycle and patterns didn't attract as much attention as the Central Plains, often referred to as Tornado Alley.
Nationally, the total number of tornadoes hasn't changed in the last 70 years. We also have no evidence that tornadoes have gotten stronger or weaker. We have seen in the last 40 years has been a large increase in the variability of tornado occurrence. We have fewer days now in the United States per year that have a tornado, but we have more days that have a lot of tornadoes occurring on them.
We got a tornado right here, right there, just to the south of the TV station.
It does look like this is a tornado on the ground. One of our big challenges is actually trying to explain why the variability is increased.
For both tornadoes and hurricanes, experts say technology and time are what will eventually help provide more concrete answers about how the global climate could be affecting our regional and local weather events.
As we go further in time, have another decade or two of data, we should begin to refine our view on some of these issues where we're still sort of scratching our heads.
We're going to be doing some really good work towards trying to provide more information or better information in a way that helps people make better decisions.
Everywhere you look, you can see the strength, the power of this tornado.
For now, the most important thing is to be as prepared as possible for the impact that weather will continue to have, no matter where we live.
That was my home, but God's got better things for me. I'm alive. I survived that, and I'm here.
So how can you be prepared for severe weather? It's simple. Download your local weather apps like ours so you can get the warnings straight to your area.
And severe weather can happen anywhere, anytime, even if you are in an area that's not prone to hurricanes and tornadoes. Meteorologist Ava Marie at WBAL in Maryland looks at the typical weather and how it's changing.
The roof of this home has been blown off, half of it falling onto this white truck.
We still get some very, very strong gusts from time to time, like this one.
A flash flood emergency is up still for about another half hour.
The whole downtown area, business area, is underwater.
Damaging floods, powerful thunderstorms, relentless wind, and snow that just keeps piling up. These are the most common ways many of us feel the impact of weather. In the Northeast, blizzards and nor'easters are seasonal staples.
You can't see a thing. Very dangerous to be out here this morning.
In '78, when we had the big blizzard, the car like this was completely buried.
In the mountains of North Carolina, a few inches of snow isn't uncommon, and it's somewhat welcomed.
We haven't gotten a good snow in a couple years, so it's good to see this. I don't normally enjoy snow, but hey, it's good to see at least one good one a year.
It only takes one storm to cause serious problems.
Basically, all of eastern New Mexico was shut down, and there was the first time I've ever seen, I haven't seen it since, the state issued a civil emergency.
KOAT Chief Meteorologist Joe Diaz will never forget what unfolded a couple of days after Christmas 2015 in an area of New Mexico that's home to highly traveled Interstate 40.
60 to 80 mile per hour winds kicked in. We had blizzard warnings in effect. We were warning people that there could be 6 to 10 foot snow drifts, and indeed that did happen.
In Roswell, more than a foot of snow, a new all-time daily record. More snow in one day than the area normally sees during an entire winter. Our weather and our climate is variable. The reality is no region of the country is immune to stretches of abnormally warm, cold, rainy, snowy, or stormy conditions.
I can't say that I've ever seen such localized and specific damage, but also such widespread damage.
Wind is a leading cause of damage from storms, and scientists say there's another dangerous, often underrated element: lightning.
Unlike a storm itself, exactly where lightning will hit is difficult to predict. A group that tracks lightning says there were 194 million strikes in the United States alone last year, and the most are actually typically seen in two states, Texas and in Florida.
All of a sudden it started getting windy outside, and there it was. The rain was going in circles.
In southern Pennsylvania, data from weather records indicates the chance of seeing more rain and heavier rain is growing, especially in the spring. WGAL meteorologist Ethan Houston explains.
We are seeing an upward shift in precipitation. From 1981 to 2010, our average spring precipitation was 10.26 inches of rain. Our new normal is now 11.08 inches. That's an increase of just under 8%. In fact, all of our seasons are seeing an increase.
Annual precipitation is also on the rise in western Pennsylvania.
I was like, we have like 15 minutes to get out, and we did. So I'm just lucky that we got out safe.
The greater Pittsburgh area, with all its rivers and aging locks and dams, is experiencing record amounts of flooding.
The flood season was typically between December through the end of April. But we've now seen in the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen flooding in June, we've seen flooding in July.
A lot of these homes, they build up like 3 or 4 steps way back because of the flooding situation here.
And flooding from intense rain, snowmelt, storm surge, and overflowing rivers and streams impacts more people in the U.S. than any other weather event. It's responsible for 90% of disaster-related property damage, according to FEMA, with many communities hit repeatedly, forcing families and business owners to repair and rebuild over and over again.
Unbelievable, and there's nothing you can do, just stand and watch.
All right, you've probably heard this one about flooding before. I know I've said it on the air. Yep. Turn around, don't drown. Now, if you come across a flooded roadway, in all seriousness, don't drive through it.
Right.
You never know the conditions of what's underneath that water.
Very true. And up ahead, we're focusing on snow, and winter snow is crucial to a successful ski season, but winter weather isn't quite what it used to be. We're taking a look at the changes experts and resorts are tracking and their predictions for the future.
Plus, tiny pieces of plastic released into the air that we breathe. What California is doing to limit microplastics and how they could impact your health.
Also, we encourage you to download our free streaming app, Very Local. It's available on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. You can stream our latest weather forecast anytime or catch our latest local newscasts.
You'll also find this program on demand soon, along with incredible original programming.
Snow. It's a vital element of our ecosystem and our economy, but our average winter temperatures are creeping up. According to the University of New Hampshire, by the middle of the century, North American ski areas could see a 50% decline in days that are favorable enough to make snow. We're getting a closer look now from our news stations in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, beginning with reporter Brianna Borghi.
Winters in the Northeast are characterized by snow, but with average winter temperatures slowly increasing, snowfall totals may start to change.
The frequency of bigger snow years or leaner snow years has increased with climate change. That means more snowmaking if the temperatures are proper.
That means consistent temperatures below freezing, ideally around 14 degrees.
We seem like we're getting shorter windows now.
At Stone Mountain Resort, snowmaking technology uses less water, making it more environmentally friendly. Adam White says the time frame of ski season has also shifted forward.
You had a chance that you could ski at Thanksgiving, and it was kind of a coin flip, and whatever you got was lucky. And now it's becoming more of, what are we going to have by the Christmas holiday? But at the same time, we get great snow in March.
The impact of changing winter weather is being felt all across the Northeast. WMTW meteorologist Sarah Long picks up the story in Maine.
Here at Sugarloaf Mountain, they're working to stay ahead of changes in climate patterns.
I think we're already seeing some more variability in the seasons. Higher highs and lower lows in terms of temperature and snowfall.
As one of the most northern ski areas in New England, Sugarloaf isn't as threatened right now by climate conditions as much as others.
Even if we are warmer than average, we can still produce an above average snowfall year.
Derek Schroeder studies seasonal patterns and snowfall trends for the National Weather Service in Gray, Maine. He says currently a snowy winter is still more reliant on storm tracks than average temperatures.
I'm cautiously optimistic that, you know, over the next several years that we'll still get, a solid storm track pattern and the skiing will still be, really great.
I'm meteorologist Haley LaPointe at Pat's Peak Ski Area in Henniker, New Hampshire. Pat's Peak is among the resorts saying changing weather patterns and climate are making it increasingly difficult to function at their best and rely on natural snowfall. Dr. Alex Contosta, a climate researcher at UNH, says because of the low temperatures needed to make snow, at some point the technology just won't be able to keep up.
But what our research shows is that even with the potential to make snow, that we're going to have such warm temperatures that only 15% of the ski areas that currently exist in the Northeast and in southern Quebec will be open by the end of the century.
We're still going to get plenty of storms, but we'll also continue to notice a slow progression of fewer snowy seasons, and the winter season itself will shrink due to warmer temperatures.
And so it really depends on what we decide to do as a society to reduce emissions, because the worst case scenario is not inevitable.
A recent study concluded that expected winter weather trends could also impact the Olympics. Researchers in Canada found that more than half of all Winter Olympics host cities since the Games began in 1924 would have unreliable natural snow conditions by the year 2080. And we know in Beijing, almost all of their snow was man-made.
Man-made, yeah. Still ahead, Ty, the threat of sea level rise in California, how it could impact the Delta and even Sacramento, and the plans being developed right now that could protect communities. A lot. Well, a lot of the conversation about climate change in California is focused on the drought, but sea level rise is another impact. As KCRA 3 meteorologist Heather Waldman explains, even inland parts of the state could face consequences.
sea level rise. It's a looming threat to all of California as global temperatures increase due to human-caused climate change.
Sea level rise is not the answer to our water challenges in California. It actually works against us.
27 million Californians rely on water that flows through the Delta. That water is salt-free, and it needs to stay that way for us to use. But it's exactly where water from the Pacific would push into as ocean levels rise.
If that area were to become salty, it would take at least 2 years to regenerate those freshwater conditions.
Climate models estimate that for every degree of warming, the average global ocean level will rise another 7.5 feet. And our current carbon use patterns have already made that just about inevitable this century.
According to global research put together by Climate Central, 1 degree Celsius of warming could lead to seawater inundation for the Delta region that looks like this. It's outlined here in the red area. But if you bump that up to 2 degrees Celsius, seawater pushes even further inland. Some of the more extreme tidal projections have ocean water in Midtown Sacramento.
Earlier this month, the Department of Water Resources filled in a temporary dam designed to keep saltwater away from the central delta during drought years.
We're able to keep this interior delta fresh with the release of less fresh water from our upstream reservoirs including Lake Oroville and Lake Shasta.
Another more long-term plan is the Delta Conveyance Project, first introduced in the 1950s. It would create a sort of underground water bypass, keeping fresh water separate from natural delta waterways.
The Delta Conveyance Project itself is a game changer from all those prior potential projects or alternative projects.
The idea is controversial. It involves building over 40 miles of tunnels through rural communities. Those opposed say it would disrupt lifestyles and the environment. But one way or another, researchers know
the Delta is like the heart of California.
A heart that needs to be protected as sea level rise creeps closer and closer to the front of people's minds. For KCRA 3 News, I'm meteorologist Heather Waldman.
Now, another potential natural buffer to sea level rise is rehabilitating wetland areas throughout the Delta. That would help the ecosystem become a bit more resilient.
And stick with us. Coming up next, California is seeing more severe wildfires. We're hearing from a firefighter about how changing fire behavior is impacting not only his job, but his health and his family as well. Plus, his plea for homeowners. As you know, the last few fire seasons have been very active here in California. We've noticed it, and we're sure you've noticed it as well.
Yeah, but no one can feel the heat of these bigger, more intense fires than a career firefighter. KCRA 3 meteorologist Heather Waldman met up with the CAL FIRE assistant chief.
We don't really even call it a fire season anymore. It's just a fire year.
A reality that people in the West must live with as climate change and human activity increase the risk for larger, hotter, and more destructive wildfires. No one feels that change quite like a career firefighter.
Brian Newman. I'm an assistant chief with CAL FIRE in the Amador, El Dorado unit, East Division operations. This will be my 28th fire season with CAL FIRE, and I'm actually second generation with CAL FIRE, so it's kind of in the blood, and it's kind of what we call my family, the family business, so to speak.
Chief Newman began his career as a seasonal firefighter after watching his dad do the same. Growing up, he remembers his dad leaving for weeks at a time to fight fires across the state.
And that's something that definitely has been a norm for me and my family as we've come up through this as a unit.
And no matter how wet or dry the last winter was, California firefighters are always busy during the summer.
California always has busy fire seasons. It's just a matter of how large and damaging and how early they start and how long they last.
But according to Newman, who has special training as a wildfire behavior analyst, what's considered normal is changing.
So when I started as a seasonal firefighter, it was not uncommon for us to deal with a what we would call a large fire at the time. And then over the course of my career, we've noticed that, really experienced where we've gone from tens or 20,000s of acres fire to hundreds of thousands of acres fires that we're dealing with for 30, 40 plus days.
One unusually busy season is one thing, but according to data kept by CAL FIRE, 14 of California's 20 largest wildfires have come in the last 10 years. That means more time and more energy put into driving, maintenance work, firefighting, and recovering year after year.
It definitely starts to take a wear on a person, mentally, physically, and on your family to be able to manage all that. It's not an easy task.
And in a job where lives, livelihoods, and property are so often on the line for both communities and firefighters themselves, fire crews need to stay healthy, fit, and motivated.
Really trying to balance a good ratio of work to rest, and then obviously the normal things that go with all of that of good nutrition and just really keeping the morale up.
CAL FIRE has internal support programs for staff and fire crews.
But sometimes it just takes having a day off and be able to separate yourself from work and spend time with your family and be able to just kind of decompress from work in a general sense.
He says the actions we take now and throughout the year can really help fire crews when they need it most.
Really do the best that they can to limit those ignitions that we see from human-caused fires, and really help us out the best that they can with defensible space and home hardening.
Awareness needed this year and every year as California adapts to climate change.
I asked Chief Newman if his family could become third generation with CAL FIRE. He told me he doesn't think his 2 daughters will follow in his footsteps, and he's just fine with that. I'm meteorologist Heather Waldman for KCRA 3 News.
Our firefighters, they do work so hard for us. And on the CAL FIRE website, you can find advice on how to prepare your family for fire season, which is approaching, including a checklist of what should be in your evacuation kit.
And for many people, their most common interaction with the science of weather comes through meteorologists like us on TV. We want to introduce you to more of our weather experts and find out about the weather events that left a lasting impact on them.
We have Storm Team 8 coverage across Central
Storm Watch 9 weather. We got a brand new severe thunderstorm warning now.
Winds up to 120 miles per hour. My inspiration for becoming a meteorologist were 2 storms that happened in 1991 in my hometown. Hurricane Bob, followed by the perfect storm. The coastal flooding just left a lasting impression, and I was amazed by the power of Mother Nature.
So here is that system building in from the south and west. The Great Blizzard of '78 had a major impact on southern New England and even southern New Hampshire. And I was in elementary school. Imagine that, as a kid being out of school for a week due to a snowstorm. What would happen? Well, the next storm would approach, and I'd be curious.
This is a large and extremely dangerous tornado.
Look at how wide this tornado is.
You can see it
Fear.
plainly see it now.
I was petrified of thunderstorms. I hated thunder because it's so loud. Checked out some books, found out it was only a noise, and from then I've been hooked.
This looks pretty significant on radar. The biggest event that I've had to cover, and my team has covered, was back on December 15th, 2021. That derecho packed winds of 60 to 90 miles per hour across most of the state, and there were over 60 tornadoes that touched down over the course of the afternoon and evening. That was the most tornadoes Iowa has ever recorded during a single day. I think a lot of people kind of scratching their heads and asking the questions, are we seeing changes? Is our weather becoming more extreme?
Incredible. I remember on St. Patrick's Day of 2019 being in Pacific Junction when the water started coming over the railroad tracks there. A few minutes later, we heard the sirens blaring around town that they were saying, get out, evacuate, the water's coming over. So we got out, seeing the devastation of it. It had tremendous impacts to so many people in so many communities that we're still seeing those impacts today.
One day that I honestly will never forget is the day that we got about a foot of rain in a little over a 12-hour period. Storm after storm, shower after shower, moving into Benton County. And that amount of rain in that short amount of time led to extraordinary flash flooding on a scale that at least parts of Northwest Arkansas hadn't seen in modern times. We had 2 children who died on this day in the floodwaters. And that in particular, the 2 kids will never probably leave me.
The winds are definitely over hurricane force.
Tornado on the ground! Tornado on the ground!
This was a lady who lived in Oak Grove. She came up to me at a grocery store and said that I saved her life. But she quoted me and said, "You may ignored a tornado warning from me before. Oak Grove, if you are in Oak Grove, this is one you should not ignore." And she said she went to the basement. 45 seconds later, her house was gone. She tells me that because she's still alive, she gets to hang out with her grandkids and that she is still around.
Personal responsibility is a big part of staying safe during severe weather. We're there, we're putting the information out, but you have to have a way to get that information. So whether you have a weather radio, you receive alerts on your phone, you have to have some way to get the weather information and then find a way to act on it.
A lot of moderate to heavy rain just off to our south.
I think the biggest challenge that has actually increased between, say, the year 2000 to the present time is that the demand for hour-by-hour forecasts and for even higher accuracy has only increased.
We all know that weather is the single most important thing for people every day. So when you are there for a community, you make that connection. People can relate to you. And once you make that connection, you'll never lose it.
A lot of lightning now headed towards.
This thing is still on the ground.
You can see all of the effects of that strong cold front.
All meteorologists, we have a passion for protecting people, no matter where they live. That's what we're about. Getting the right information out as quickly as we possibly can. And for me, there is no greater calling than helping people maneuver what can be truly deadly situations.
That's really well said. Now, all of the meteorologists said one of the biggest changes they've seen, and I totally agree with this one, is with social media. They said it's changed the speed at which they can push out and receive information.
We do appreciate our meteorologists, and I like being able to fill the space in between the weather reports. All right, everyday items are made from plastic materials, as we know, water bottles, patio furniture, and even our clothes. All of that eventually disintegrates, though, into tiny particles, and they're called microplastics. Meteorologist Heather Waldman again shows us how that could impact your health and what California, the state, is doing about it.
You can stack plastic bottles from the Earth to the moon and back 14 times. And that's approximately how much plastic humans have created.
All of that plastic breaks down over time, getting smaller and smaller until eventually it becomes a microplastic.
The ones that we're concerned about are about the size of a red blood cell. Those are the particles that when we inhale or ingest them, they can travel through our bloodstream.
And we're likely ingesting microplastics just about everywhere we go.
While most of them are removed from our bodies, some of them can stick around, and they may be distributed through our bloodstream and can accumulate in different organs, where they go on to cause inflammation, oxidative stress, and other interactions at the cellular level.
There's still some uncertainty over just how bad that is for our long-term health, but California isn't waiting for any conclusions. Earlier this year, the state adopted a microplastic strategy that would actively work to remove microplastics from the environment while researching new ways to prevent more from forming.
Both of these bills are groundbreaking in that no other state government, and actually no government anywhere in the world, has required or developed regulations for microplastics in any sense.
The so-called statewide microplastic strategy has 22 immediate action steps to reduce pollution, including limiting single-use plastic in food service, banning the sale of polystyrene packaging by next year, and stopping the sale of cigarette filters and e-cigarettes. But for most Californians, clothing takes up the biggest part of their plastic footprint.
Most of the clothing that we buy is synthetic, made of synthetic fibers. Those shed when we wash them, as well as when we put them in the dryer.
Coffin says an easy way to limit that plastic footprint is to wear your clothes as long as possible.
Another easy way to slow the growth of microplastics is to keep anything on your property out of direct sunlight. Things like trash bins, tarps, and outdoor furniture all break down faster when they're exposed to direct sunlight, even if we can't see it happening. For KCRA 3 News, I'm meteorologist Heather Waldman.
Now, you've heard of a population census before, but what about a census involving trees?
What do these trees tell us about our changing climate? We're taking you inside America's forest census.
And if you don't already have it, be sure to download the free KCRA 3 app. It is a great way to stay informed about weather tailored to your community, your neighborhood. Get severe weather alerts as they happen from our weather team, easy, right on your phone. Right now, the drought situation is growing worse across the country, unfortunately, especially in western states.
We know the impact of it. That contributes to all sorts of problems, more volatile fire conditions, crop damage for farmers, and land erosion. The U.S. Drought Monitor shows 35 states currently experiencing moderate drought or worse. Chief National Investigative Correspondent Mark Albert shows us how our forests, a unique laboratory, and technology are all combining to give a forecast of what's to come.
Take a step into the future by going back to the past.
Straight between. Yeah, your center.
Measurement by measurement, from below
20
and above, these researchers are on the vanguard of tracking how a changing climate, from intensifying drought to hotter temperatures to more ferocious wildfires, is affecting a crucial part of Earth's ecosystem.
We're going to have to measure low on that.
You're watching the nation's forest census. Just like the once-a-decade census goes door to door, the forest census goes trunk to trunk and bark to bark, measuring a portion of trees on 171,000 plots across the country. And they've been doing it for nearly a century.
We want to get an age. So we're going to try to drill and hit the center, the pith. See how it's glowing, all that sap is in there? There could be a disease or something in there.
The National Investigative Unit went with a forest inventory crew deep into the Cibola National Forest in the northwest corner of New Mexico to watch something rarely seen by the public.
When I look at a forest like this and I see all this green, it's hard to imagine that drought is impacting these forests, is it?
It is. John Shaw leads forest census analysis for part of the western U.S.
Do tree rings help you improve the quality of your forecast?
Absolutely. Trees will tend to show signs of slowing down before we see them die off.
Look at how narrow that ring is.
Could have been a drought year.
It could have been a drought year.
Margaret Evans showed us how to read tree rings inside the world's oldest laboratory of tree ring research at the University of Arizona in Tucson. Evans and her colleague, Kelly Heilman, are using their research for the first time to help the Forest Service predict how a changing climate is affecting our forests.
What did you find?
We found up to about a 91% decrease in average tree growth each year.
That sounds dramatic.
Yes, very dramatic. The worst case scenario of what we were forecasting.
Did you feel a punch in your gut when you crunched the data and found that?
This type of work can be a little bit disheartening, but the uplifting thing is that we can use these models that we've developed to identify management strategies that can help us promote resilience in these forests.
And we need to do something about it right now. We really are running out of time to get something done.
And that plan and warning for the future.
What happens when it's dry, what happens when it's very dry,
is what John Shaw from the Forest Service is now working on with its Forest Vegetation Simulator.
Literally, you've seen it the first time this is tried.
Using the tree measurements of the past and climate changes in the present to now go decade by decade into a potential version of the future, as seen in this exclusive simulation for this story.
Are we seeing a forest die?
Everywhere you see a color go from a cooler to a warmer, lots of trees have died. We are using the tree rings, tying to the climate models, and then projecting that forward and say, well, we see this change in growth when it's this hot, dry, or this wet and cool.
So the tree ring data is giving you more information so that your projections are more realistic.
Exactly, yeah, and that's the goal.
a goal to track and predict the intensifying climate changes now preying on America's forests. In the Cibola National Forest in New Mexico, I'm Chief National Investigative Correspondent Mark Albert.
Now you can head to our app for a special video on how to read tree rings. You can also see the forest census plots where this work is happening in our area. You'll find it all in our Forecasting Our Future section.
Now let's talk about one way your family, by extension, has its own impact on the weather and the climate of the future. Chief National Consumer Correspondent Jeff Rawson tells us it's as simple as choosing smarter products that can help the environment.
Swapping a product you use every day for another product doesn't just help the environment, it could also save you big money. So you know me, I'm on the hunt looking for the best eco-friendly products that'll take something off your weekly shopping list and save you some money. Let's go.
First up, dryer sheets. Environmentalists say chemicals used to make them get released from the heat of the dryer. Those chemicals pollute the air we're breathing.
But they're also wasting your money. Let me explain why. So I have a big family. We do a lot of laundry around here. And look, we use these dryer sheets, okay? These dryer sheets like this. You probably do too. But here's the thing. After one use, they're done. Poof, goodbye. You get to use it once. So why not switch to these, right? These are wool dryer balls. Yeah, they're made of wool. You can probably see. It's kind of cool. You throw these in, it increases the airflow and makes your clothes soft without any of the chemicals. Better for the environment and better for your wallet too, because guess what? These wool dryer balls cut down drying time by 20 to 30%. They dry your clothes faster, they absorb the water. And here's the other thing. This 6-pack cost me 18 bucks. Sounds expensive, but you can use these for up to 1,000 loads of laundry. Load it in, forget about it.
Another big pollutant, makeup wipes. Millions of them are tossed into landfills every day, and it takes 100 years for them to break down. My producer Kelly found a better solution. It's called the makeup eraser.
Okay, you're probably like me. I use about 2 of these wipes a day, and these are these ones that you just throw away. It's one and done. But guess what? You can be using this. It's a reusable makeup towel. It cost me about 20 bucks, but guess what? You can use it over 3,600 times and then toss it into the washer and you're done. And it's that easy. Look at that.
Finally, one of the worst pollutants, plastic wrap. We go through 53 million rolls of it a year. That's enough plastic film to shrink wrap the state of Texas.
So here's an alternative. It's something called reusable beeswax food wrap. Yeah, it's made out of beeswax, and it's reusable for up to a year. We bought this for just 28 bucks. It's a pack of 6 of them, 2 cups of sugar right here. Let me put some plastic wrap on this, just to show you it's a side-by-side comparison, okay? Hold it from the top, and you can see that the plastic wrap is holding the sugar inside the cup. But will the beeswax work as well? Moment of truth. Yes, the beeswax works as well, holding the sugar in the cup. It's cheaper for you all year, and it's better for the environment. We're going to put a link to all these products and more money-saving eco products on my website right now, rawsonreports.com.
Makeup eraser, I need that one.
You need that and the dryer balls.
Yep.
We use it every time. It works
all
great.
All the above. I'll take them all. Great ideas from Jeff to try around your home as well.
And beeswax for saran wrap. Who knew?
Yeah.
Well, we found some other unique initiatives aimed at easing the burden on the environment.
It is huge. It covers hundreds of square miles.
Entirely underground, what you're not seeing that can help with droughts. Plus, repurposed oyster shells, a twist on lawn equipment, and a teenager leading a charge for change. It's all coming up next. Thanks for sticking with us.
Several states and the federal government are refocusing on how to get ahead of changes with our environment.
That's right. A United Nations climate panel recently said it's, quote, now or never to get a handle on the warming of the planet and the damaging results.
Yes, Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson at WJCL in Georgia shows us how some are pitching in right now.
The simple beauty of the ocean and shoreline.
attracts people to the communities dotting Maine's coast. But a rising sea and eroding land are a constant and growing threat.
This stuff, when it gets exposed like this, can be really, really unstable.
To reduce erosion, the state is now testing a possible natural solution, a living shoreline built with oyster shells collected from local restaurants, bundled in coconut fiber bags, and anchored with logs.
They're 10 to 12 inches in diameter. So what they're meant to do is to try to break up the currents and also break up ice.
It's one example of the innovative work underway to reduce the devastating impact of severe weather and a change in environment. In Sacramento, California, where a water shortage is often the problem, a different kind of solution, a water bank that's underground.
It is huge. It covers hundreds of square miles.
During wet periods, when surface water is in good supply, water providers will rely on drawing more from lakes and rivers, and excess water can be pumped into the natural ground storage.
It basically is a giant sponge made of soil and sands and gravel in the ground.
During dry periods, providers draw from the water bank to help supply homes and businesses. Changing weather also puts a growing burden on farming, but research underway in Nebraska is aimed at giving farmers the upper hand.
Making the season longer, making possible for growing for more days.
Biochemist Kasia Gavatska is investigating why this perennial grass, a cousin of corn, is resistant to cold snaps. She's discovered some grasses have an early warning mechanism to help them brace for cold temperatures and lower light. If that natural process can be crossbred to other grasses and crops, it could be a game changer.
We can create better crops which are having this insurance policy.
Science and simple ingenuity may be helping us slowly adapt to and prepare for the changing impact of our weather. On a larger scale, scientists say reducing greenhouse gas emissions are necessary. Changes at home in communities across the country can add up. In Louisville, Kentucky, the Lawn Care for Cleaner Air program gives rebates for the purchase of electric-powered lawn care equipment to replace old gas-powered gear, therefore reducing pollutants. At Marquette University in Wisconsin, the police department is helping cut emissions by moving to a hybrid fleet.
These vehicles tend to be used a lot. They're pretty much running 24/7.
Engine runtime with the hybrids, about 70% less than all gas vehicles.
It's our little part that we can do.
In Malden, South Carolina, an education center built entirely by renewable energy sources, but the purpose here is much bigger. This solar-powered center teaches sustainability to the next generation.
Kids are our future. Well, if they don't understand sustainability, you can't affect change.
The future, it seems, is in good hands.
I wanted to be part of the solution.
At only 14 years old, Lillian Hill is making a difference. You'll often find her at the Iowa State House, leading adults and leading the charge to get lawmakers to pass legislation for clean energy. And that will help ensure a brighter tomorrow.
I want my little brothers to be able to get out of high school and still have a future worth fighting for.
Well, if you want to learn more about any of these initiatives we just mentioned, we've posted the links to them on each one of them in our Forecasting Our Future section of our website and our app.
It's all on KCRA.com. And while you're there, take another look at any of the stories you saw in the program. You can also check out our interactive charts detailing trends with global temperatures and expected changing sea levels, agriculture, and we've got more than that too. We have the results of an exclusive survey from our National Investigative Unit about how local communities are responding to severe and changing weather. We hope this program brought you more awareness of how changing trends in weather are impacting local communities across the country.
Absolutely. You'll see more Forecasting Our Future coverage right here throughout the year. We thank you for joining us tonight.
Have a great night and have a great weekend.